So when I talk about heart-based communication, why communicate from the heart? I dare say that the reason to communicate from the heart is because it feels different. So if you think, for instance, about a first grade classroom and two different kinds of teachers. One teacher who's at the green board, and you can tell, in fact, they're thinking the entire time as they write, and perhaps their back is turned to you, because frankly, the only thing that's coming out are thoughts from the head. Maybe they are talking to you and their back isn't turned, but it still comes across as their eyes are going to look up and the energy is going to be coming from around here between the board and the people listening. Versus the teacher who is making eye contact with the students, not because they're forcing eye contact, but because what's happening is the communication is coming more from around here. So this is that heart center, head space difference. So why communicate from your heart? Think to a time where perhaps you're sitting with a friend and something like a tone switches in the conversation. And you realize someone is starting to tell a personal truth. And it could even be a personal truth or a story they're still chewing on and trying to find the heart of the matter inside of it. But it's as if they've swum deeper and they've moved from here where you're in that chit-chat space and the banter is really quick. And it's kind of easy to become distracted or change topics really quickly. And then once that one person starts to sink down, maybe reveal a personal truth and talk about something that's currently alive in their life, you might notice that the listening changes, that you feel more engaged and brought in. Suddenly you might be feeling some emotion, compassion, love, sadness, maybe even attraction, whatever it may be. Usually the emotional system becomes involved. Now, I've had the pleasure of taking 2 training courses out of 3 in a practice called Counsel. And this practice is something that my mom has done for 35 years. It's really been the staple of her career. And what is Counsel? It is a practice of heart-based communication. And she, along with many hundreds of other facilitators in the world, and this is a very old practice, learned and evolved in a different way for modern society from Native American culture. And this practice is very basic. Essentially, people sit on the floor, and that's already connecting back to ground, to earth, to where we are now, what's alive now. And it's also coming down. It's a practice of coming down from the mind into the body, into the heart. You sit in a circle with people, and everyone faces into the center. It's also known as the medicine wheel, so you create this circle. And inside the circle is a center. And this centerpiece is the calling and focal point of every person there, which changes it from being a dialogue or a conversation where people are bouncing off of each other and you might interrupt. It's sort of like a brainstorm. Brainstorms are totally different. And yes, that's more from the head and they can be extremely fruitful. But this is not a brainstorm. In Counsel, there are 4 principles. You speak from the heart. You listen from the heart. So even though I'm pointing to my ear, that's actually not really where you're listening from. It's all coming from here. And so you're listening from your heart, which means even if thoughts arise, you're letting it sink down deeper and you're not reacting. So you're speaking from your heart. You're listening from your heart. You're being lean or concise, meaning you're not going on and on. You say what needs to be said, but no more. And you're spontaneous, which means you're not anticipating and which also opens you up to better listening. So here you are, and of course, the sort of hidden, assumed other principle, the bonus 5th principle, is no interrupting. Because also in Counsel, you will pass a talking piece, and it can be really anything. It can be a rosebud. It can be a little heart. It can be a candle or a leaf or anything that you think is relevant. And when one person has this talking piece, it sort of helps to concentrate. You can hold it to your heart. You can touch it. And you just listen to what's alive right now. And it is this difference between the head has the ability to access the past and the future and move between space and time, but in sort of a disconnected fashion. Whereas the heart, it's here now. And even if it has memory, it's still living in this moment through experience, through the body. So I ask you, how does heart-based communication show up in your life? And is there some place that you're feeling the call to bring it more into your world in a daily way, monthly? What is that for you? Thanks so much for listening.